Hey everyone, Chelsea here from So Simple Home. Today we are making a really fun fall holiday project. We are making pie bunting. So we have these cute little pie pieces here and we're going to sew them up and then we'll string them together, and you can hang this up all season long. You can start in October and go all the way through Christmas with this fun little bunting. It's really great for Thanksgiving and just kind of any fall themed. So we have 3 designs that we're going to make. Let me just put these up here. You can get the bunting pattern on our website. The link is down in the description. You can go to the website, you'll see the photo tutorial, and scroll down to the very bottom. There's a peach colored button and you can print the pattern. The pattern is for the pie pieces, including the berry, the apple pie crust, as well as the pumpkin pie crust garland. So go get the pattern. So these are 2. This is the pumpkin pie, this is the apple pie, and then this is the berry pie. But if you'll notice, I did my berry pie backwards. My berries aren't on the outside and they should be on the inside. So we'll fix that and do it correctly this time around, but I still think it looks really cute. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do, we're just going to set these guys aside so they're out of our way, is cut out our pattern pieces. So for the pie, you'll need your garland pieces. There's 1 pattern for all of the triangles for your pies. So I have several cut out here. Then you're going to need to cut smaller sections of the pie that will be the actual color for the pie, or will signify which pie. So we have red for apple, kind of a purple fuchsia for the berry, and then orange for the pumpkin pie. So those 3 are cut out. Then you're going to need a long rectangle, looks like this, for your pumpkin pie crust. We're going to gather it up. So here's my pumpkin pie. So it's gathered, just a different look. And then, get these pieces out of the way here. And then this little piece here, you're going to cut several strips for the apple pie. And you want to use, if you have them, pinking shears. Now pinking shears have the teeth on the edge. And when you cut your pieces, you can follow the pattern, or you can just cut about 1/2 inch to 1/4 inch strips out of your brown felt. That's something I didn't say. This pattern is made with felt. So you want them to be fairly even. They don't have to be perfect, but when you pink them, that gives them kind of that look that you're making an actual pie. And I'm just going to make some small ones here, and hopefully all of those should work. You'll need about 6 or 7 of these pieces, big or small, and we'll weave them together here in just a bit. So those are for my apple pie. Then you're going to need a piece, a rectangle piece that will be for the braid at the top here of your apple pie. And we'll cut that into, I started and then I stopped because I wanted to show you how I do that. Okay? And then finally, for the berry pie, that's incorrect. We kind of just did an abstract pie crust on the top. And for that one, I literally just took my scissors and kind of wove through kind of like that, and just made kind of a, I don't even know, wavy design. It doesn't have to be perfect, but something like that. And you'll need 3 or 4 pieces like that that will go across the pie. Okay? So that's kind of the start. Oh, last thing, one more. you're going to cut out a circle. It'll be it will be page 2 of the bunting. You're going to cut out a circle, and then you're going to kind of weave through, not weave, round the circle. I don't know. And this is going to be your topping for your pumpkin pie. All right, so let's split it up here. We have our pumpkin pie with our, let's move things around here. Pumpkin pie with our crust and our actual pie filling. And then this will be the whipped cream on top. Okay, so that's our pumpkin pie. For our apple pie, we have our pie filling. We have all of our lattice pieces. We have our crust. That's our apple pie. And then for our berry pie, we have 2 tan pieces, crust pieces, with our berry pie filling. And these will sandwich together because we're going to do it right. And then we have our crust for the top. Okay, so that's what you're going to need. So you need tan felt, fuchsia, red, orange, and a little bit of white. All right, let's start sewing. So let's start with our berry pie filling. So the pattern comes with a pie piece that looks like this, and you can either cut out the raindrop or the teardrop pattern and trace it like this, or you can take and cut out one of the teardrops and trace it on the pattern like this. However you choose to do it, it should work just fine. Any way you choose. And then we're just going to take our scissors and we just kind of fold this in half and clip it, and then we just trim around our berries, or our teardrops, I guess is the right word, for our berry pie filling. Now when I was first doing the example, in my head it made sense just to cut them out of the berry, or out of the berry pie filling. And then I was looking at it and I was like, well, that's not how you do it. My cherry pie is never just an open cherry pie. But I just really like the color. So even us experienced sewists who create the projects that you're making make mistakes, and that's just part of life. And it's still cute. And you know what? I'm going to hang it up just like that. And if anybody says anything, I'll say it's just my own special berry pie filling. All right, so I've cut my little pie filling out, and I've just placed it over the top here, just like that. I'm actually going to widen this one just a little bit. I feel like it could be just a little bit wider. I like that better. There we go. That looks a little bit more natural. Okay, and then we're just going to put this whole pie in the machine, and we're going to stitch down this side and stitch up to the opposite side. And we're stitching right close to the edge, so about 1/8 of an inch. Clip our threads. And you'll notice there's a little bit of overlap because as things move, and that's just fine. So all we do is we take our scissors and we trim along the edge of our pie here and even things up. Take a little bit more of that fuchsia color out. Okay, so there's our berry pie. And then we're just going to kind of abstractly put this pie crust on the top that we invented here. And then we'll just put it through the machine. we'll stitch down the top, one side to the other, and then I'll lift, go down about 1/4 inch, and stitch across again. And that should get all of the pieces on our crust. And then if you want to come in and kind of trim it up or round anything off, you're welcome to do that. That's kind of what I'm going to do here, just to even it out. And there's my cute little berry pie. They're different, right? But still very cute. All right, next, we're going to do our apple pie. So we have our base. This is our apple pie base. And we're going to go ahead and line these two up. And just like the berry pie, we're going to stitch down one side and up the other, just to make sure that our filling doesn't move. Get to the corner, turn, and come back up. Cut our threads. Now, I'm not going to even it up yet because I'm going to have to even it up several times. So I will even everything up at the very end when I'm done with my pie crust. So now I'm going to do my lattice work. And I am not a professional pie decorator or maker by any stretch of the imagination. So we are just going to put these guys on, kind of eyeball it, see what we like. And then this guy maybe goes right here. And this guy maybe like that. That looks pretty good. So then I'm just going to, I'll be a little professional here. We'll do a little bit of weaving. Not much, but a little bit. Like that. I think that looks pretty good. So now all I'm going to do is go down a couple of these lattice pieces. Just stitch down them so that everything stays in place. So I'm going to start maybe with this big guy right here. And if you wanted to, you could also use like heat and bond on the back side to ensure that everything stays in place. That would be also a good option. But I'm just going to stitch down a couple pieces of my lattice, and that should keep my pie pretty much in place. So all my pie pieces are, or all my lattice pieces are stitched somehow. Okay, now for the lattice, I am going to go ahead and trim my lattice. I'm going to use my pinking shears and come through and trim the edges of my lattice pieces so that they aren't hanging over too much. And I'm using the pinking shears just so that I still have that design. All right, now the fun part. So I have this is probably about a 1-inch piece of wide piece of tan felt. I'm going to cut almost all the way to the top. And then I'm going to kind of braid it. And by braiding, I mean I'm just going to twist one side around to the other. Just like this. Then we'll end here. So you can see it's kind of twisted. That's going to be the top of my pie crust. All right, I have my lattice or my braided piece for my crust at the top here. I'm just going to place it in the corner of my pie crust, and I'm going to follow the diagonal of my pie crust and stitch over that. So not hard. Got a couple stray threads there. Then I'm going to just pull it to the opposite end And wherever it ends, you can see it ends over here. I'm just going to stitch that on the diagonal as well of my pie crust. And then all we have to do is trim the extra off. So this is the point where I'm going to, I guess you could say, square off my pie crust. Cut there, and then come along this side and cut down to the end. Now at this point, if any of your lattice pieces are too loose for you and you don't like them, you could stitch over those extra pieces like this guy. He's just kind of hanging on. I can stitch, I have some options actually. So I can stitch here, or if I want, I can just top stitch again along the diagonal. And I think that's actually what I'm going to do, since I have several of these lattice pieces. And I'm just going to secure them all. So just an extra little stitch there for that side. And there is my apple pie. So cute. Look at those two apple pies. I love it. Okay, so apple pie is done. Lastly, we have our pumpkin pie. So the first thing I'm actually going to do, well, we'll do it like the others. First thing we're going to do is sew on our pumpkin pie. So we're going to sew down one side and up the other side so that it is secure. And then up the other side. And then we're going to square it off, or triangle it off, I guess, so that it looks nice and straight. All right, then we're going to take our rectangular rectangle piece that's on the pattern, and we are going to take the top thread and pull. You see how it gathers my felt? I'm going to do the same thing on the opposite side. Sometimes it's easier to come in from both sides, especially on a material like felt. I have some stiff felt that I'm using for the back, and then some not as stiff felt that I'm using for the front. So stiffer felt, sometimes it's easier to gather on both sides. So I gathered it. Now I'm going to pin it in the middle of where my pie crust goes here. And then I can kind of stretch out my gathers a little bit. Pin them down. Same thing on this side. Kind of stretch them out or regather them to make everything look real nice. And then pin it in place. Okay, so that's kind of what it looks like. Now I'm going to switch my machine back to my regular stitch length, and I'm going to just stitch over that same stitch that I made, but this time I'm not gathering it, I'm just stitching it down. And now I can cut all those threads. I can trim my pie crust so everybody is nice and sharp. Okay, and there is my pumpkin pie crust. The last part to make this pumpkin pie is we're going to make the whipped cream to go on top. And we're kind of using a felt flower idea to do this. So I have my circle, I've kind of swirled into it. In fact, I might swirl into it just a teeny bit more. All right, so here's the swirl. I'm going to take the the top part of the swirl, and I'm just going to kind of fold it. And then I'm just going around and around and around all the way to make my whipped cream. Now you could hand stitch this closed. We're going to cheat this time and just use a little bit of hot glue to close it up. And then go ahead and use a little hot glue on the base to keep it on there. And there is your pumpkin pie. So I've got my 2 pieces of pumpkin pie, my 2 pieces of apple pie, and my 2 berry pies all together. Aren't those adorable? All right, now we're gonna just pile them on together in order. And now we're going to put them on our ribbon or string or whatever you might have. So I'm just going to find kind of the middle of this, because that'll just help me know. I have 6 pies and I want to space them out fairly even. And I'm using kind of this fun sparkly. So we're going to do about like that. So these are, let's see, I'm spacing them about 2.5 inches apart. So we're going to start up here. Put these guys back because they're just going to fall. We're going to start up here. And you can see I'm putting them on the front of the ribbon, so the ribbon goes behind. And then I'm going to stitch the pie piece down, and depending on how I did the crust, I may try and stitch behind the crust. So like for this apple pie, I'm going to pull the crust up and just stitch over just a small portion of it, because if I stitch over the whole thing, it's probably just a little too bulky. Okay, go forward 2.5 inches. And now I'm putting my pumpkin pie, and I'm just stitching across it. Go my 2.5 inches or so, and stitch across my berries. All right, there's our pumpkin pie, cherry pie, berry pie, bunting. How cute did that turn out? So this is a great thing to hang on your mantle. You can just hang it up on the wall, whatever you want to do for your holiday season. And you can add more pie pieces to make it longer or less pie pieces. It's totally up to you. I hope you enjoyed this holiday pie bunting tutorial. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions, and we'll see you next time.